Hi, it's Angela from MarketingWell.com. Thanks for taking a minute to learn 10 ways to sell smarter. Now, I have to tell you, I was hesitant about using the word sell because it's never been a word that I liked very much. My cornerstone, the whole unique thing that we have to offer at Marketing Well, is that we don't have a scripty, arm-twisting sales approach to how we build a business. So the word sell concerns me sometimes. But then I found a definition that I actually like, a definition of selling. So it goes like this. Selling is engaging someone in a future result that is good for them. So getting someone to commit to something later that is good for them. Now that's a definition that I can get behind. If you think about it, Martin Luther King Jr. was selling. So was Mother Teresa and JFK and lots of people who have been behind big social change. On the other hand, Hitler was also selling. So this is how I differentiate it in my mind. I'm engaging someone, I'm getting them to commit to a future result that is good for them. So selling is a process, but how we do it is up to us. We're going to learn 10 ways to sell smarter, and they're all based on a process that evolves from principles of community and education that is authentic and honest, that you can feel as a natural extension of yourself helping someone be better. Thanks so much. I hope you enjoy the video. "10 ways to sell smarter." This is, as you know, not only key to increasing your income, but key to getting your gifts out there to the world. I'm sure you've seen as well as I have, there is no correlation between the trainers with lots of clients and the trainers with lots of business and necessarily the best trainers. Sometimes there's a correlation. No doubt that being good does sell itself in the end. But at the same time, very rarely does anyone in the wellness profession end up earning what they should. So we're going to get right to the nitty-gritty today. Here's a quote. This is Brian Tracy. I'm talking about the psychology of selling, and a lot of the folks that do big selling seminars quote him. But this word consistence, I want to point it out. But again, I'm hoping today that we will learn some ways for you to not feel like you're beating things up over and over again. Again, he's talking about sales professionals here, and he talks about 80% of sales are never closed before the 5th attempt. And then, of course, the inverse of that is that only 10% of sales professionals make those 5 attempts. But here's the thing, you're not a sales professional. The lesson to take away from this is that trying again is worthwhile. So let's get right into our 10 ways to sell smarter. The first one is something I call bookending. And I hope you're going to take a lot of notes today because these are 10 concepts that you really need to master. This idea of bookending is when you're talking to a prospect and they say no. So we're supposed to call back. Brian Tracy says it takes 5 attempts. And I don't know about you, but I do not like to call someone back who's told me no. And so instead of letting the conversation end with no, bookending them works really well. So what you do is you would say to a potential client, let's say the conversation is going the way of, well, I just think if I could use my treadmill at home, I think I'm motivated, etc., etc. Instead of saying, okay, thanks, never mind, and then calling them back, you want to bookend them by saying, that's great, why don't you do your treadmill and let me tell you a couple things that you can do to make that time more efficient. Let me share a couple tricks and tips with you, and let's do that for 2 weeks. And then I'm going to call you in 2 weeks and see how you're doing with it and if I can share some more information. So basically, you don't end the conversation with yes or no if the conversation looks like it's going toward no. You end the conversation with a plan for them to do something on their own, to continue what they're doing, to implement, a tip or trick or something you share with them. And then most importantly, you give them a time when you're going to check back in. And then when you check back in, depending on, you can build on that earlier conversation. How's the treadmill coming? Did you look into getting a heart rate monitor like I recommended? You know, it sounds like what you're missing is some accountability and motivation. And then you can move it forward from there as you get agreement and as you move them along that continuum of understanding what they'll gain from working with you. So if it sounds like you're about to hear a no, make a plan with the person for them to continue getting fit. And I find if you're not a sales professional, if you're a wellness professional, it comes very naturally to play that coach to them. I'm going to check back in with you, do this for this long, and then we'll see how you're doing and what you need to do next. Now, what they need to do next is start training with you, and that allows you to have those 2 or 3 conversations, and it also allows them time to evolve along that continuum of becoming a really good client. I have found that folks have a one mindset when they're considering exercising, another mindset when they start a class or start training or start getting massages, whatever it is they do. They start that new behavior, they have one mindset that they're starting, and their expectations are low. But when they start getting more from it and they become more knowledgeable about it, their expectations heighten, and so does their willingness to invest in it. So really think about yourself being a coach, but be it with a coach with some parameters and specific dates and timelines. And put this in your calendar. Remember, we talked about this master calendar. I don't care if it's paper, electronic, or whatever, but write yourself a note to check back in with them. Number 2, offer 2 choices. When people have the option of picking from A or B, they will think about A or B. When they have the option of picking from 3 or more, the decision feels too complex and they can't make a choice. They will freeze up and your closing rate will nosedive downward. So when you're trying to get someone to start something new, and that might be a difficult decision anyway, you want to make the choice simple. Would you like to do this 60-day package for $300, or would you like to do this 6-month package at $300 a month? Whatever the 2 choices are. But you want to offer 2. And when we talked yesterday about maybe having in your system, in your program system, to have maybe 4 different programs that you sell so that you can easily pick 2 to offer to your prospect. Number 3, make eye contact. And this is one of those things that might sound simple but isn't necessarily consistently practiced. And I mean look your person in the eye. I'd even recommend saying their name over and over, and not in a scripty way, but say their name back to them. It helps you remember who they are, first of all, because you might be coming across a lot of people when you're in that growth mode, when you're ramping up to build your business or re-energize your business or launch a new program. You'll be coming across a lot of people. So making eye contact and saying their name, as you know, that'll help you remember their name. But making eye contact increases your credibility with the person, and it increases the genuineness and the warmth that they feel from you, and consequently the likelihood that they'll buy. Number 4 is a big one. Avoid assumptions. And I mean, even on kind of a subconscious level, avoid assumptions. So I have to tell you a little story, because I enrolled my daughter in preschool this year. She turned 3 in July, so I started looking around this summer. And my husband and I went to I'm going to talk about 3 different schools. We went to a half a dozen. One of them was very close to our house. It was $22 a day, okay? That's very, very inexpensive. Another one was also close to our house, and it was about twice that much. It was maybe $200 a week. And then we went to a private school that also had a preschool and pre-K program, and the tuition there was $15,000 a year. And at each of those tours, it was really interesting to me that when I think in hindsight, none of them reacted differently when they presented the prices to us. None of them acted like it was expensive. None of them acted like it was a great bargain. Okay, there's lots of people paying $22 a day, that's a stretch for. Actually, everybody who's paying preschool tuition is stretching in some way or another. It's just a matter of what value you found at the school and what you wanted your child to do. We gave no hints because we didn't know yet. I didn't ever plan on spending what I did spend on preschool tuition, but we didn't know yet what we were going to spend. And a lot of times we believe, because we've heard, I'm not sure I can afford it, or I'm not sure I can get that in my budget. What someone thinks at the outset is not what they'll think after meeting with you. When they correlate the price of something to their values of looking better, feeling better, when you can make that real for them, then price becomes a much lower issue. So look at every client like they're a millionaire and carry through the conversation as such until they've told you that they can't afford it. And then, even then, after they've told you that price is an issue, look for a way to add value. Look for a way for them to pay for it differently, to pay twice a month or to pay more often or whatever might work out. But avoid assumptions that people won't invest at the level you need them to.